Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Crispy Kareem and I make videos in which I say my opinion, I comment on certain subjects, and I get things off my chest. And you've come to listen for some reason, so thank you. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a, uh, hit the like button, leave a nice comment, subscribe to my channel, and share this channel and video with your friends. And if you don't like this video, then you should force me into a overcrowded migrant boat to be capsized deliberately by racist coast guards and then refuse to rescue me, because that sounds really terrifying. Or you can force me into a submarine to run out of air and then just wait for death whilst people, care about me because, I've previously lived my life with millions and millions and millions of pounds to my name, because this is what I want to talk about. I don't think I'm gonna say anything original. I think a lot of what I want to say about this has already been said by other people, and I've tried to link articles that maybe articulate this better, because I'm just like speaking without a script or anything. This is just very improvised, as after most of my videos, really. Yeah, so if I find do have like links to articles that I will put in the description box, along with my social media links to my social media, so that you can see something a bit more articulate about what I want to say. But I want to comment specifically on something, and I think I'm going to use Sarkar as an example, but she's not the only person facing backlash for this, and I think there are some important things to highlight regarding the discussion going on about the sinking of these vessels and the resulting deaths. And I want to talk about this largely because it's just something that really it bothers me personally, and it's something, as someone who originates from a developing country where many people are actually using the sort of smuggler routes to leave because they are so poor. Even maybe prior to the crisis, they've always been so poor that they've had to depend on illegal means of getting into richer countries, because the legal means are very expensive and administrative, and these people often don't have the resources or the money to go through the legal channels, which are often very exclusionary, and especially as Western countries try to restrict migration, are often very xenophobic and racist. Don't really want to use those two interchangeably because they are technically different things, but this video is the point of this video is that we are to sort of clarify matters regarding this boat sinking thing. So this week, an overcrowded fishing boat has capsized, largely because smuggling networks are exploiting poorer refugees and people fleeing their countries for money, countries from war or economic issues that are so bad that they cannot go through the legal means to get to their countries, and people are saving up money because because they're being exploited for not really knowing how else to move abroad and get to another country where they can get a job and provide for their loved ones. So often they are being crammed into fishing boats that often really cannot support the total weight of the people, and often are susceptible to being damaged and eventually sinking, resulting in hundreds of these migrants drowning. And often what happens when that happens is that the coast guards are ordered to, or choose not to, rescue them, because a lot of European countries are starting to become tougher on migration, and the political class is trying to teach people to reward them for celebrate these drownings and to revel in it as if somehow their country's been saved from some impending doom from the arrival of these people, just trying to make a better life for their family. And I think it really speaks to a chronic lack of empathy, and a largely ethnic ethnically and racially based lack of empathy towards people coming from poorer countries, from countries outside of Europe towards Europe, because they need that help. They need to seek economic opportunities where they think there are economic opportunities. And often you can say that there isn't anything for them, but they don't really know that because, again, they are very poor. In their mind, I think Europe is just full of endless opportunities to provide for themselves and their families back home, and they have the opportunities that often aren't afforded to them by their own countries because of economic issues, conflict, and any other issues that are causing their livelihoods to be severely compromised. And following this, a submarine full of with five rich people went missing when they were in search of the Titanic, and towards to view the Titanic. This is a submarine where the combined wealth or value of these people were just 2.5 billion people, and this is five people. So this is like an average per person value of $500 million. That's a lot of money for anyone. It's a lot of money, full stop. It's so obscenely rich, and you can be rich, that's fine. I'm not one of those communist people who are like, if you make more than a certain threshold, you are inherently evil. And supposedly two of the people, because they're like father and son, they're from like a philanthropic family, so good for them. I don't know what they do. There's like debate on what it is. It's the two Pakistani guys. Don't really know much about them, but apparently they are a very philanthropic family and very much liked, and their loss will be considered very painful towards the society that is losing them. And I think that all deaths should be mourned. I think families, especially the Pakistani one, is being torn apart because of people being lost in what to them may seem like an innocuous activity. However, I do think that being able to afford $250,000 to go into a submarine and just look at the Titanic, which is a very exclusive activity, is in itself a means of flaunting wealth and a bragging right. And I do think it's it is very much a vanity project that is there for like rich people to spend money for the sake of spending money, and then being able to display that they have that money to spend. And I think one of the things Ash Sarkar said, that if you have the money to spend on that kind of stuff, you're probably not being you probably aren't being taxed. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they should be taxed to the point where they can't afford that, because if if you're part of that group, you could probably take on a bit more taxation and you wouldn't like really be hit with that money. And economic research shows that the wealthy, the ultra wealthy, the majority of their money is saved. It doesn't go into the economy. It doesn't trickle down as neoliberals would want you to believe. That's just a theory. But in practice, it just doesn't happen. A lot of money is stored in accounts, offshore accounts, assets. That's considered a withdrawal from the economy. So often it doesn't really help, whereas taxing that same amount of money to spend is in itself an injection into the economy, because GDP equals household income of the whole population plus investment plus government spending plus net exports. Bringing back that undergrad econ knowledge, I'm so glad I remember that to make a point. Finally putting that degree to use. And yeah, so. And people seem to be thinking that if she's criticizing the fact that some people have an obscene amount of wealth, whilst many others are in poverty, that it's somehow mocking or celebrating their death, when in actuality it's just a commentary on the different circumstances that got two groups of people to die in such a way. And then she also points out that the media and even a lot of people have more sympathy for these rich people, or these oligarchs, than they do for these refugees and immigrants. I've said in a previous video, specifically the one about the woman whose crops were salted to stop her from giving food to other people, that I think apathy and cruelty towards the poor and the displaced, let's say, is just so deeply ingrained into our society, and I think this could be extended for a lot of Europe because we're electing fascist leaders to keep immigrants out and crushed and at the bottom of society, the societal food chain. That it's just so deeply ingrained that when Ash actually said that, oh, maybe we should examine wealth inequalities and how the different circumstances got these people to die at sea, and how they are very different, really very different situations. People took that to mean that we should start mocking the deaths of the billionaires that we feel sorry for because they're so inclined to just be cruel towards the displaced that die at sea, that instead of registering the idea that maybe they shouldn't be so awful towards them and maybe treat them as human beings, they've come to the conclusion that we need to mock more people, but from a different perspective, because no, it's so unfathomable being having any measurable sense of compassion. It's just so weak to these people. Knowing the circumstances of how each group got underwater and the fact that this refugee thing has happened more than once, it has happened so many times over the last few decades, especially as increasing conflicts and economic issues in Africa and Asia have forced more people to seek illegal migration routes to more prosperous countries has increased. I think the fact that we've chosen to prioritize our sympathy, our media coverage, and our rescue efforts towards uh, rich people whilst rejoicing at the drowning and the deaths of and the trauma of the poorer people because we think it's going to discourage them when obviously it hasn't, is it just shows what a messed up society and system we live in, and I think it really needs to change. I think we need to tackle political and economic and systemic issues in those countries if we really want to stem the migration instead of just letting them die and then not giving a crap about what goes on in their country because we're so poisoned by nationalism and xenophobia and classism that we think that the new first approach to you know spending policy and systemic issues is a really sustainable one and one that isn't conducive to conflict, hatred, and global societal breakdown. And I think this is why this whole migrant boats capsizing and submarine going missing situation has really exposed what a messed up society and system we live in, and I think it really needs to be fixed through a politics of compassion and a drive towards equality and respect for each other and valuing of human beings. Because right now, it's very clear that the people who are mad at Ash Sarkar and others who are making the same point are those who value people and prioritize them based on how wealthy they are and how where they're from, and they think that your value in society and humanity is should be based on that, and I think that's very wrong. So sorry if you can't hear me over the fan. It's quite a powerful one, and that's on the lowest setting, by the way. But yeah, if you like this video, again, thank you for watching. Please press that like button, subscribe and share, and relevant links from the description box below. And thank you for coming to my channel.